Somewhere in the bowels of the city that never sleeps,
Kevin McCullough, radio host with Salem Media,
is a man also not sleeping.
Syndicated radio talk show host Kevin McCullough.
And that guy would like a word with you.
Many of you know him as Nostradamus.
Of course that Kevin show is going to be great. The only thing that could be greater, of course, would be that Donald show. But we don't have that, so we have that Kevin show.
Featuring the music of Dick Tunney and the Dream in Color Orchestra. And tonight on That Kevin Show, former White House press secretary and he who dances with stars, Sean Spicer. She's the Baroness and member of the House of Lords in the UK, Caroline Cox. She's America's favorite cover girl doctor, Laura Purdy, MD. And Katie Nicole and Big Daddy Weave in the spotlight. And now, from Times Square, where Barbie celebrated her birthday last night, and not with Ken, here's That Kevin!
All right, friends, happy weekend to you. Glad to have you with us. We've got a big couple of hours straight ahead, and I want you to be here for every little bit of it. We've got a killer assignment desk weekend in store for you tonight, and some really special guests. You just heard the lineup there. Thank you, Dave. But we've got former White House press secretary. I cannot wait to talk with Sean Spicer about some of the stuff. You know, the Coke in the White House mystery, for some reason, the Secret Service announced this week that they couldn't solve it. And I've noticed that over the last couple of weeks, you know, you've got Karine Jean-Pierre, you've got John Kirby, you've got all the spokespeople for the different branches of the executive branch that are being asked questions about how did Coke get in the White House? I mean, let's say, for example, that maybe it wasn't Coke. Let's say it was anthrax. How did you allow a dangerous poison powder to get into the private residence of the president himself? This is bothersome. And the Secret Service comes out yesterday and we don't know, folks. Now, first of all, I don't believe that they don't know. You can't convince me that this group, which is the top stellar security group on planet Earth, charged with guarding the lives of the president, all of the first family, the most important members of the administration. Secret Service is there day in and day out. And they have to be on guard. They have to watch. They have to make sure that they know exactly what the threat to the president is at all times. How can a security service that is that good not be interested enough to find out who the culprit was that brought a poisonous white powder into the White House? Well, the question, the answer is simple. They do know. The White House is telling everyone to lie to us. That's the unsaid thing here. Of course they know. You got surveillance camera footage. You got visitors logs. You've got fingerprints on the dime bag. Come on, this is not that hard. You've got registration of when a certain member of the family came into the White House. And you have registration of when the family member left the White House on the visitors log. Besides that, you've got the surveillance tape, time-coded. What time did this member of the first family enter in the White House? What time did they leave? When was the thing discovered? Shortly after their departure. This is dumb. This is so easy. And that's the frustration. Because nobody believes when the Secret Service says yesterday, oh, well, we couldn't find a culprit. We couldn't find a suspect. We have no idea. Nobody believes that. If this had been, by the way, a different administration, let's say one with the last name of Trump or Bush or Reagan, and their kid had come in with a dime bag of Coke and left it somewhere, there would be screams from the highest hill. Investigate, investigate. Don't stop until you've found the culprit. And they would have been outed and they would have been ridiculed. The press would have excoriated the president for allowing it to happen, et cetera, et cetera. So don't give us this. I mean, we're not morons. You think we are. But that's your mistake. We're not. So does anybody in America honestly believe that it wasn't someone in Joe Biden's inner circle, and there's only one person in his inner circle that's a former addict or current addict, that wrote in a book about his use of cocaine, that we have a laptop full of evidence of him still using cocaine, usually using cocaine to seduce girls, maybe questionably underaged, maybe even relatives, of doing the coke and having the sex and doing all the stuff. It's not like this is a foreign concept here. There's fingerprints on the bag. There's surveillance camera footage. There's visitors logs. There's more than that. You've got other cameras watching entrances and things that totally could verify who was where in the White House at what time. And by the way, unlike what Karine Jean-Pierre said last week, that this is a very busy part of the place that's on the tour and people come through. It's not. None of that's true. That was all a lie. The place where it was found is limited in the number of people who have access to it. And it's mostly the president, the first family, maybe the vice president. My colleague at Salem News Channel, Sebastian Gorka, said when he was in the Trump administration, where he served the president, that in all of his years there, he was invited to this location one time. That's someone who had access to be there. He was only invited to be there one time. So the Secret Service is either grossly negligent and incapable of keeping our chief executive safe, and they should all be fired and have new people hired as Secret Service. That would be terribly embarrassing, by the way, if you're lifelong Secret Service and you get swept up in this and you didn't have anything to do with it. But just because somebody at the White House told the people that told the Secret Service at the White House, you have to lie to the American people and say, we have no clue. We're completely clueless as to who the coke might belong to. I mean, I think that's already. I mean, if you talk to, I've known a couple of Secret Service members. I've known a number of FBI agents. I've known a few CIA dudes. They sit around and share war stories like our military does. Can you imagine? Can you imagine being the guy that has to sit there with his buddies and say, yeah, I was on the crew that got canned from the White House because we had to go out with this stupid story that we couldn't find who brought the coke into the White House, when coke's never been in the White House before. And friends, those of you that are mistaking my mockery of this as in some way just purely based on a vehemence towards the Biden administration or the president himself, you're mistaken. This is a crime against the people of the United States because it is the people's house. It's the parsonage that we give him while he serves his country these 4 years. It's our house. We pay for it to be well cared for. We want to make sure it's secure so that our chief executive, while he's parsonaging there, is able to serve the people without any distraction of needing to be bothered by what his living arrangement is. It's a very good thing that we do, but we're the ones who do it. It's our house. It's not the president's house. It doesn't belong to the party that's in charge at the time. It's the taxpayers. And as we now know that this particular president has a son who has a bit of a problem in this arena, It is vital that we not only protect the president, but that we protect the people's house. Sobering decisions get made there. The decision to send your son or daughter to war has been made in that house multiple times, under grave circumstances, usually seeking God's input on the matter. It's a sober place. It should be a sobering situation. And what do we have? Frat boy Hunter. Oh, by the way, it's not just a dime bag. Secret Service did reveal that last year they found multiple bags of marijuana in the White House. Coming right back, Kevin McCullough. Stay with us.